ask Joe to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to have the minutes from our meeting of November 21st approved. A motion by Rick, seconded by Jay. In additions, objections, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any public comments, Rachel?
No.
Kevin Loki will give us an update on our local labor monitoring report. Kevin, there he is.
Hello. All right, so I've got our November monthly report covering our business between the 1st and the 30th of November. During this period, we made 57 monthly site visits. We had 3 follow-up visits during this period. We checked with a residency of 312 workers. We had 7 issues of non-compliance, 4 of which were no proof of residence, 3 of which were out of area. And we had 2 new signs delivered in this period to Fairlife LLC as well as Rochester Historic Properties LLC.
Any questions for Kevin?
No, just thanks for getting that sign back up. We see that.
That's an easy one.
It's not going to go down.
We heard about the details.
Thanks.
That's why I update you with a sign thing every month. We do it for a reason, you know?
Thanks, Kevin.
Anything else?
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
You all have a happy holidays, happy New Year, all that good stuff.
Same to you.
See you
Stay
soon.
safe.
Okay, next item is Greg is going to give us an update on our financial report.
Relatively quiet month for November. You can see our cash position has changed. We, as we have reiterated in the past, we've allocated all of our, a lot of our excess working capital to investments. We'll continue to do that. We do have a little bit of excess cash right now, but we're going to reevaluate probably right at the beginning of the year as we close out this year, because we do expect considerable amount of fee project income to happen in the next, whatever this is, 12 days. So once we determine what that excess cash is, we're gonna report back and potentially look at recommending additional treasury purchases. And we'll know what that is probably early January, first week of January. And that'll be fairly significant. Everything else with respect to balances and prepaids and our assets and liabilities are to budget and expectations. You can see our fee income, we've rebounded. In October, we anticipate a significant project closing, like I said, in the next 2 weeks, which is probably going to generate anywhere from in excess of $3-4 million of fee revenue, and that's going to bring us into.
Could you speak a little louder, please?
Yeah, I would say in terms of the fee revenue, we're going to kind of really get back on track here and rebound. We do anticipate a couple projects closing that'll get us around $3-4 million of fee revenue here
before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year, which is going to change. And again, there's really 2 significant projects in December and the one in October that really is going to probably represent almost 75-80% of our income that we've done in the last 3 months. And as you know, in the beginning of the first 9 months, we were slower. We knew it, right? We knew that was going to happen, and certainly.
You kept telling us it.
Yeah, it's all Rachel. But again, here we are, and again, we'd anticipate a very strong end to the year. And can certainly have the investments and assets to move forward and consider what the board wants to do with that. But overall, in terms of our expenses are in line to what we had budgeted, not anything significantly changed. The only thing that we're really lagging behind, it's not, hey, we're not committed, is the workforce development, economic development expenses. Again, we've committed to those funds. We haven't spent what we thought we were going to spend just because the programs just haven't been able to get up fast enough. But we do anticipate that changing in 24 and certainly going into 25. So like I said, overall, we're showing a net deficit right now of a little over $500,000. We obviously, that's gonna change here over the next, the next month, and we're gonna have a very strong close to the year like we did last year, and probably, like I said, I think certainly the 2 best years maybe ever on record for the organization and for the number of projects and activity that we're seeing in the area. So kudos to everyone who's a part of that, and looking forward to finishing the year out strong.
Yeah, the interest income is under 300,000.
Yeah, we
That's
can.
quite good. The revenue performance as compared to budget. It's always great to be ahead on revenues as compared to budget and behind on expenses as compared to budget. So great performance by the whole organization, by the team. Any questions for Greg? All right, thank you, Greg. All right, we'll now move into our applications. And the first one is the Raymond Corporation. And would you like to walk us through that, Anna?
Thank you. The Raymond Corporation is proposing the renovation of a 23,000 square foot building in the town of Henrietta. The Raymond Corporation is a subsidiary of Toyota Industries Corporation, the #1 in the global marketplace for material handling equipment. The Raymond Corporation specializes in the design and manufacturing of electronic warehouse lift trucks. The Raymond Corporation plans to expand in Monroe County to create a center of excellence due to the unique workforce and access to talent at local universities. The $2 million project is projected to create 41 new FTEs over the next 3 years. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax exemptions only, and the benefit to incentive ratio is 40-1.
Thanks, Anna. And I believe we have Jennifer D'Souza, Vice President, Energy Solutions, Supply Chain, and Leasing with us. Welcome. And they're also Louis Kalea.
I'll be just representing Raymond today.
Okay, all right. Tell us more, anything you'd like to add?
Sure, absolutely. So, as already mentioned, Raymond is very interested to locate in the Rochester area. This is something we've worked on for about 5 years. We see an ecosystem growing out here in the Rochester area, particularly as related to electrification, decarbonization, and electrification. This facility will not only be for research and development for Raymond products, but also as stated for other products in the Toyota Industries portfolio. So we manufacture both electric lifts for warehouses, think Amazon, but also sit-down combustion lifts that need to transition from internal combustion to electric. So we intend to do all that electrification work in this facility. We'll be considering various technologies, including fuel cells, lithium-ion batteries, and possibly even hydrogen burning engines. But because, again, of the ecosystem growing here with RIT's presence, certain other companies in the area specializing in this type of technology, like Plug Power, we feel this is a very, very good location for us.
Where is Green located?
Green is right outside of Binghamton, about 25 minutes.
Okay. And so there are attributes to the Rochester marketplace beyond what you're
Yes.
doing today and wanting to grow in Green.
And you may be aware that Binghamton was just identified as the battery tech hub across the U.S., the only one in the U.S. And of course, we have the godfather of lithium himself, Dr. Stan Whittingham there in Binghamton. But we're just not seeing the same momentum yet in the Binghamton area as we see here in Rochester, particularly related to electrification of drivetrains.
Is this primarily a research and development facility, or will there be manufacturing here as well?
Primarily research and development.
Any other questions by the board? Thank you. We held a public hearing on this project on December 14th. Rachel?
No comments.
No comments from the public. I'll ask you some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No, we do not.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we are.
The secret process is complete, so I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption.
So moved.
Been moved by
Second.
Dave, seconded by Joe. Any other comments, questions? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Norm?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Rhett?
Yay.
Lisa?
Abstain.
Joe?
Yes.
Ann is a yea. Motion carries. Congratulations. Good luck to you. We're happy to have you in town.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Next project is Eagles Landing 1 LLC. Anna?
Eagles Landing 1 LLC is proposing the renovation of a 23,000 square foot building in the town of Henrietta for its tenant, the Raymond Corporation. The applicant is seeking approval of sales tax exemptions only on the $800,000 project. The Raymond Corporation has applied for benefits separately. The benefit incentive ratio for this project is 11-1.
Okay, we have Eric Jones with us, who's the property manager for LaFoy.
Good afternoon.
Good
Thank you for
afternoon.
your consideration. I'm here representing Eagles Landing 1 LLC. We are the landlord. We will be the landlord for Raymond Corp. It's going to be occupying this 23,000 square foot space, which has been vacant for quite a while. So we're excited to have them as a tenant. Obviously, Jennifer just talked about the job creation that they're going to have, and I think that's the biggest plus to the community here is the fact that we're creating 41 well-paying jobs here. So we're excited about the project. We're looking forward to getting started with construction shortly after the new year, and hope to have them in the first quarter, by the end of the first quarter, 2024.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, there was no need for a public hearing on this project. I'll ask you some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
We are.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this
We do
time?
not.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we are.
The secret process is complete, and I'll ask now for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption.
A motion.
Been moved by Joe, seconded by Rhett. Any other comments, questions? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Norm?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Rhett?
Yay.
Lisa?
Abstain.
Joey?
Yes.
Okay, and Ann is a yea, so motion carries, and congratulations
Thank you very much.
to you. Okay, next project is 139 Troop Street LLC, and Anna, you want to walk us through that?
139 Troop Street LLC is proposing the conversion of 2 buildings into market rate multifamily housing in the city of Rochester. One building will contain 20 units, which includes 1 studio, 16 one-bedroom, and 3 2-bedroom apartments. Rents for these market rate apartments will range from $1,025 to $1,650 per unit monthly. The second building will be converted to house 6 studio units, 5 of which will be affordable to households earning no more than 60% of the area median income. 139 Troop Street LLC plans to create 1 new FTE. The $3.3 million project, which is supported by the city of Rochester, is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemption. The cost-benefit ratio is 8-1.
I believe we have Joe Burkhart
Yes.
with us this afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you.
Your partner, his wife is having a baby?
No, that is my wife, actually.
Oh, that's
So,
your
my
wife.
goodness.
Oh, dear.
Wow, thank you for being here.
I'm on standby.
Better move this right along.
Yeah.
Man's gotta have his priorities.
No, the contraction stopped, so I think we got a moment. But, yeah, after this, I'm gonna get some sleep. So thank you for entertaining us. We acquired this property a little over a year ago. It was formerly owned by DePaul. There's 2 structures. One is a main house, which is roughly 16,000 square feet. and there's a carriage house, which is a little over 3,000 square feet. The Paul had used this as housing for some of their programs, and then a couple floors of the main house were used for office space, but the space did not adequately meet their needs. They had a group home in a portion of it, they had separate apartments in a portion of it, and they had abandoned quite a bit of the building because it did not meet their needs. So after a few years of realizing that this wasn't the best space for them, they disposed of the property, which is where we acquired it. And during the acquisition process, we identified that this makes a lot of sense for multifamily only. They're getting rid of the office group home use. It was supported by the neighborhood association and many of the neighbors. We went through the permitting process, which took roughly 10 months, and now we're into the construction and planning process. So we're here, obviously requesting the abatements that we just discussed.
Any questions from the board?
Good.
We had a concern in your project summary. You have your second building, which is the carriage house, that's 6 studio units, and 5 of which will be market rate, and that's how you accommodate your market rate?
Yeah, so.
Excuse me, your affordable?
Sure, affordable. So the conversation regarding affordable started with the city, and when we initially approached them with the project, they said, how many affordable units are you going to include? And knowing that we were going to be here at some point, and your goal is 10%, we said 3, 10% of 26, 2.6, round up 3. They requested that we provide 20%, and in the ensuing conversation, they imposed upon me how urgent and necessary more affordable housing is within the city. So in lieu of 3, we said, okay, 20% of 26 is 5.2, can we do 5? And knowing that the carriage house is 6 units and the main house is 20, that would be done first. Does it make sense just to put 5 in there? They said, sure, sounds great, go ahead. Now, I've always been under the impression that between the 2 structures, I had to provide 5. It wasn't necessarily in one structure or the other. My requirement was 5 had to be done at the end of the day. So when I come back to report, however that gets done in a year from now, I can say, hey, here's the 5 affordable. The difference between the affordable rent and what rent was provided to us through our appraisal was less than $100 difference. So it's not a big deal either way. It wasn't something that we were saying, oh, this unit's going to be affordable. All of the units are being built out exactly the same. They have the same finishes, same equipment, same appliances, same everything. And the space size of the apartments in the carriage house is actually larger than some of the 1-bedrooms that are in the main house. That building was reconstructed and laid out properly years ago. So it's actually a little bit of a easier renovation project. But my intent was always to come back and say, okay, here's the 5 units in the future, not necessarily say to you today, these are going to be the 5, but we can be wholly flexible. If there is another goal or objective you'd like me to have, I'm happy to make the effort to pursue that.
Well, I have a problem with all 5 of the affordables being in one location like that. I think if you're gonna do it, you need to have a appropriate mix.
Sure, so what goal would you like me to try?
I think they need to be mixed. You need to have some in one dwelling and some in the other dwelling.
I have no problem with that. None whatsoever.
That's great. Joseph, that was a big concern. The idea is that we want to, scatter the affordable units among the market rate units.
Sure. I have no problem with that. I think what your reading was just a product of the city kind of pushing us for more. That was it. So there was no real thought behind saying 5 there. I think it was just trying to check the box.
Understood. Yeah, we got some clarification earlier. We understand why you did what you did. When we saw it on paper, that was what jumped out at us.
I can certainly understand the confusion there. So thank you for hearing me out on that.
Yeah. So I would say, just to be specific, I'll throw this out there. Put 20% in each building. That would make it 1 in 4.
Sure.
Right. So how's that work, Rachel, in regards to this application? Do we approve it in this format with the condition that they make those adjustments?
With the correction that, yeah, that it'll be a cross-section split between the buildings.
Okay. Any other questions?
Appreciate the flexibility,
Thank you.
clarification. Thank you.
My pleasure. I appreciate the assistance.
Okay, let's see, so, we did have a public hearing on December 14th. Were there any comments, right?
No, there were not.
And I'll ask you our local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Thank you. The seeker process is complete. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption, mortgage reporting tax exemption, and real property tax abatement.
So moved?
Moved by Norm, seconded by Lisa. Any other comments, questions? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Norm?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Brett?
Yay.
Lisa?
Yay.
Joe?
Yes.
And Ann is a yay, so that's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you
Good
very
luck on the
much.
project and your,
Yeah,
the new addition to your family.
I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Congratulations. Thank you. Okay. Next project is JMJ Leasing, Henrietta. And that's the applicant, and tenant is Skyworks. Donna?
JM&J Leasing Middle Road LLC, a real estate holding company, is proposing the construction of a new 27,000 square foot facility in the town of Henrietta for their tenant Skyworks LLC. It's a related entity. Skyworks is an equipment rental, sales, and service company headquartered in Buffalo, New York, and has locations in 10 states. Skyworks is currently located in Gates, but needs to relocate and expand in order to meet the growing customer needs. The new facility would consist of office, shop, and warehouse space. Skyworks plans to create 5 new FTEs in addition to its existing 23 FTEs. The $7 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemptions. The cost to benefit ratio is 11-1.
And we have Chad Lascivita,
Yes,
Vice President of Operations. Welcome.
thank you.
And would you like to elaborate on your project?
Sure. I'm here representing both companies, Skyworks and JM&J Leasing LLC. Just to give you a little more insight into Skyworks, for a family-owned business headquartered out of Buffalo. We've been expanding throughout the United States, and as part of that expansion, we have the unique opportunity within New York and both Buffalo and Rochester to expand our locations to both meet the needs within the cities and also meet the needs of our growth throughout the country. So the facility which we're building now would, we'd move our current location into our current rental sales and service location, allow us to meet the needs of the growing business in Rochester. At the same time, there will be a remanufactured component of it, which will allow us to rebuild some of our equipment or equipment out in the market and ship it to some of our 25 locations throughout the country. On top of that, we're growing into a supply and parts business, and the warehouse space, which will be a component of this, will allow us to support, again, our 25 locations throughout the U.S. and the continued growth of the company. So, in New York right now, we have 165 full-time employees, and we're from Buffalo. We love being in the area, and the opportunity finding this land has given us is great for us, and I think great for the city of Henrietta, or town of Henrietta. So that's all.
I have a question. Tell us more about the remanufacture of construction equipment. What kind of equipment?
Yeah, so we have all types of construction equipment, mainly large forklifts and large aerial lifts. Those machines Our average age of the equipment within our fleet is 4.6 years. The cost of this equipment with inflation over the last few years has dramatically increased. We have a very robust situation with mechanics that are able to work on this equipment. So we work with the manufacturers to be able to tear down the equipment, repaint it, rebuild wiring and things in it, rebuild our own equipment and ship it to other locations. And at the same time, sell that equipment to contractors at other locations. So very light remanufacturing.
Rachel Moore, I have a question for you. Is, am I seeing that this project is 18.25% incentivized? Am I reading that correctly?
I believe so.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on the
Yes.
project? All right, we had a public hearing on December 14th for this project. Were there any comments, Rachel?
No, there were not.
I'll now ask you, our local labor,
Okay.
heard this a few times
Mhm.
since you've been here.
Yes.
Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this
No,
time?
we do not.
And are you aware of any exemptions that need to be requested, that there is a need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, we are aware of that.
Thank you. The seeker process is complete. Now I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption, mortgage recording tax exemption, and real property tax abatement.
Motion.
Moved by
Second.
Troy, seconded by Rhett. Any other comments, questions? I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Norm?
Yes.
Troy?
Yay.
Rhett? Lisa?
Abstain.
Joe?
Yes.
And Ann is a yay, so motion carries.
Thank you for your
Congratulations.
consideration and help, and happy holidays.
Thanks for
Good luck.
expanding your business here in Rochester.
Thank you.
They're a good product. I use them so many times in the past.
And the facility,
I've always-
the facility they're building is wonderful, really, really nice.
I didn't want to say anything. I said, I use their lifts in their company all the time.
This is my last day to abstain. I don't have to abstain anymore.
We're now going to move into project modifications.
So I wanted to abstain.
And the first one on the agenda is 145 LLC. And I believe we have a representative here, Alan Stern, who's developer, or Jordan Morgenstern. Or both. You are?
I'm Alan Stern.
You're Alan. Okay, welcome. You want to tell us about the changes, what's going on?
We had, went ahead with the secret process, and we had since 90% complete, pretty much ready to go. When the pandemic really took effect, construction costs increased 40%, and interest rates doubled, and we had to pull back and reevaluate, but it seems as though construction costs have stabilized, maybe even pulling back a little bit, and interest rates have seemed to do the same. So we are looking maybe to break ground in 6 months and be complete by the end of 2025.
So the increased costs, the 1.5 million, are attributable.
Excuse me?
The increase in cost of 1.5 million, the project cost.
They did, yeah. We're probably going to have to re-engineer some parts of the building. Same amount of units, same amount of affordable units. We might have to change the facade to make it come within a reasonable budget for us. It was going to be completely brick, but we might have to add some metal panels and ethos to it.
Okay. Any questions on this modification?
Oh, just a question on the neighborhood of the arts. Where do you see it going?
Excuse me?
The neighborhood of the arts?
The neighborhood of the arts.
Where do you see potential growth there?
We do, yeah. It's people. It's a walkable neighborhood. Lots of restaurants and amenities, and people. We have existing tenants there now, and they love the neighborhood. Like to keep it going.
Thank you.
And the building right now is a old, probably 75 years old, and it's a tired building, it really should come down and be replaced.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an increase in project costs and an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31, 2025.
So moved.
Been moved by Jay, seconded by Lisa. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, did you raise your hand?
I just had a question for Alan before he leaves, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
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 All right. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
When are you breaking ground again? I'm sorry.
We're hoping within 6 months, maybe sooner. We have a short-term tenant in there now, and they'll be moving out end of March.
Okay, and you're hoping then to have the units available?
End of 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Take care.
Okay, next modification is DGNA Real Estate Holdings LLC.
DGNA Real Estate Holdings LLC, a real estate holding company, acquired and is renovating a 40,000 square foot facility in the town of Penfield for its tenant Durst Image Technology US LLC, a related entity. In October of 2022, the applicant received a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. In August of 2023, Durst Image Technology received an increase and an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2024. The applicant is now also seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2024 due to a delay in construction.
Okay, thanks, Anna. I don't believe we have anyone here to address the project, so I'll just ask for a motion. Well, I'll ask the board if there are questions. Yes, Red?
So at the bottom, it talks about received an increased extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 24, and now seeking an extension through December 31st, 24 again.
That was the tenant.
The tenant.
The tenant.
Two separate.
Okay,
They're related but separate.
got it, thank you.
So Durst is the tenant and the applicant is not seeking.
Any other questions on that? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31, 2024.
So moved.
Been moved by Rhett, seconded by Jay. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next modification is Sibley Redevelopment Limited Partnership.
Sibley Redevelopment Limited Partnership is one of 3 entities created to redevelop the former Sibley building in the city of Rochester. The project was approved in December 2012. Redevelopment of the 4th and 5th floors has begun for 2 new tenants, Bandwidth and SWVR, reactivating more than 60,000 square feet in the commercial portion of the redevelopment. The applicant has been approved for several extensions of the sales tax exemption. The applicant is now seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2024. The tenant is also seeking approval for the new tenants, Deaf Refugee Advocacy, Miss Julie's School of Beauty, and Miles Exotic Pets.
Interesting mix.
Yes, I want to hear about this mix.
My house.
Troy's excited. So any questions on this? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31, 2024.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Lisa,
Second.
seconded by Norm. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, on a Sibley Mixed Use LLC.
I'm sorry, just real quick question. Does anybody know with these new tenants coming in, how full is that Sibley building?
Do we have a specific update on active square feet?
Is it in the letters?
They've submitted a letter. It might be in there.
Is that,
It's busy.
is it close?
No.
Yeah. It's a It's over 1 million square feet. So,
I think up until the Amazon Gates facility was constructed, it was the largest building in Monroe County in terms of contiguous square footage.
right.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, it was bigger than Midtown.
Okay.
We'll find out,
Yeah.
because they let us know what they're reactivating,
Yeah.
but we don't know what the total number is versus what the vacancy
You
rate.
mean
So we'll
what's
find out.
remaining?
Thank
Plus
you.
the 3 pilots confusing.
Yeah.
You mean what's remaining?
Right, yeah, we don't have that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that.
And that's not addressed in the letter
It's not,
for Robin on page 141?
it's not.
Field
It
trip.
says they have 4,500 square feet that remains to be occupied on Main Street. If you go into the letter from
Right,
Sibley,
right.
from Kevin Corcoran.
I think that's just the one area though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of the building. So the other thing is the building is split up into 3 separate projects. So they might be giving us information on
we're
portions
looking
of the
for
building rather than the
entire-
full.
yeah.
So
And
we
I think he's
can,
talking
we'll
about
go,
that's the
Right, the
retail.
next court
Yeah,
space
on the-
is owned
the
by
retail.
the University of Rochester, I think, right? Or it's almost like a condo kind of a setup,
Yeah, it's owned by Nextcore, but the affiliation makes it.
Right.
Yeah,
complicated.
yeah,
It's a big unit.
yeah. No, it's, like even taking 30,000 square feet, that is only a partial floor. I mean, it's.
Right,
Mhm,
right.
mhm.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
square footage.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we were going to put a cooling system in the basement when I was with the RDH board. And just going through there and seeing what they had, it was just immense. A huge property.
It's good to see more people going in there.
Okay, any other questions on this? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31, 2024. Been moved by Rhett, seconded by Lisa. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next modification is 39 Jet View Drive LLC.
39 Jetview Drive LLC, a real estate holding company, is constructing a 52,500 square foot building for its tenant Sidor Optics, a manufacturer of precision optical substrates. The project, located in the town of Chilai, was originally approved in April 2021. In April 2023, an extension was approved through December 31st, 2023. The applicant is now seeking another extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2024 due to a change in the anticipated initial tenant.
Any questions on that?
Do we know what the change is on the tenant? Is Sidor Optics not?
I think Sidor is still, so Sidor submitted the application for the modification. Matthew Sidor is the program manager. Robin, did you get any additional detail from Matt Sidor?
So if I remember correctly, they had always told us it was gonna be a 2-phase project, and that they had to build this building to get, it's really confusing how the two were related, but there was gonna be vacant space in the building that was gonna be the phase 2 that they were gonna lease out to a subtenant. And that's what this part is, and they had someone, and then they backed out of the deal.
Okay,
So now they need more time to find a new tenant and then do the build out for whoever that tenant would be.
okay, so
That makes sense.
Sidor's needs aren't changing, right?
No.
They're-
Right, so that's a little, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that? All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Rhett, seconded by Jay. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item. All of these modifications today. We're making time, everything. Andrews Terrace Community Partners.
Andrews Terrace Community Partners LP is purchasing and renovating Andrews Terrace Apartments in the city of Rochester. Andrews Terrace is an affordable housing project with 526 units, 496 of which are Section 8 housing. The applicant is renovating the units, common areas, building systems, and exterior improvements. In February 2023, the applicant was approved for a shelter rent pilot agreement, tax exempt bond financing, and sales tax and mortgage recording tax exemptions through December 31st, 2025. The applicant is now seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2026 due to a change in construction period completion date.
Thanks, Anna. Any questions? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31, 2026.
I'll make a
Moved by
motion.
Red, seconded by Lisa. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Here we go. All right. Moving right along. Our executive director is now going to talk to us about the Rochester Emergency Veterinary Services request.
Thank you very much. As members of this board are likely aware, there was a crisis created in the recent months of 2023 by the closure of the only overnight animal hospital in the greater Rochester region. And that issue made its way, constituents notified the county executive's office and other leaders in the community, and County Executive Bello worked with myself and others on the team to look at ways that Monroe County could perhaps be supportive of addressing this gap in services and the crisis. There is a group of stakeholders in the community made up of veterinarians, people representing Lollipop Farms and the Humane Society, and Cornell University's veterinary school that have established and are establishing a not-for-profit organization that will be referred to as Rochester Emergency Veterinary Services. And this organization is slated to open in January at 1150, sorry, excuse me, I'm looking for the address.
University.
1150 University Avenue, thank you, Lisa, in January 2024. And I am requesting that this board approve up to $100,000 in equipment costs for this organization as they establish themselves at that location. And ultimately, their plan would be to expand and grow into the facility that was closed recently by the private operator. There's also furthermore a proposed partnership with Cornell's College of Veterinary Medicine that is expected to provide learning opportunities for students and address the critical shortage of skilled veterinary workers in the community. And the clinic will also support the mission of the Humane Society and provide employment and training opportunities. And with us today, we have Dr. Bruce Ingersoll. He's a veterinarian who is a leader in this initiative and can speak to the contents in the request for support application on page 155 of your application, of your packets. And welcome, Dr. Ingersoll.
I brought Dr. Dory Merriam with me as well. She's another board member of the Revs as well.
Great, thank you, welcome.
So, as you've already heard, we have no emergency vet care. And so the two of us plus Dr. Brenda Buck decided to develop a not-for-profit. It's a model that's used with the Animal Medical Center in New York City and Angel Memorial Animal Center in Boston, probably two of the biggest and most successful hospitals in the United States. And so we're trying to emulate that to some extent so that Rochester doesn't end up in the situation we're at, where basically more than 100 skilled employees have lost their jobs and are now trying to figure that out and potentially moving out of the area, making labor crisis even worse in our area. And so we're trying to minimize that effect as quickly as we can. And unfortunately, startup costs for an emergency hospital are staggering. And I am a veterinarian, so I'm not a wealthy man. So we're looking for some support in this venture.
Was there any discussion of taking over the facility that's closing?
There has been, unfortunately, with the labor force that we have at this point and what we can commit to, the rent there is just astronomical as to what we can truly afford. It's about 3 to 4 times what we think we'll be able to spend on that at first until we're up and running. Hopefully, that is we have talked with Thrive and I should say MBA Realty, who actually owns the building. And there's discussion to hopefully move back into that facility because otherwise it's, I think, gonna be unused for a long time. But we are in no shape to do that as of now until we have some of those partnerships available.
But your goal is to open the facility in January?
We're going to be running out of Dr. Buck's daytime practice, so we're going to because if it's midnight right now, you're driving to Buffalo or Ithaca or Syracuse and trying. So we're focusing on that immediate need right now, and then as that takes off and works, we want to get back to what Rochester needs and deserves with that specialty, et cetera, hospital. But as of now, we need somewhere to go at midnight.
And that's on University Avenue?
Correct.
So it's a pretty good sized facility to at least start with?
It'll work. We'd like bigger, but it will make it work. So,
is there a way in which you could utilize some of the existing equipment at the previous hospital for your purposes here?
And we can, unfortunately, it's owned by Thrive, and so they have not offered to donate most of that. And they have 18 other hospitals in the area, day practices, and so most of their equipment is being partitioned off to those other hospitals. So we are sort of have to start, and there's very specific things that we need, like oxygen cages, ultrasounds, that you need in an emergency facility that most day practices then don't have.
Any insights as to why that facility closed? I mean, was there not enough?
There's lots of, there's lots of rumors and.
I think there was some management issues and they had, for the span of a 2-week period, 10 of their full-time veterinarians resign. And basically that was enough to have them not want to pursue staying open anymore.
The official line that the company was giving is that there's staff shortages in the Rochester area, which is partially true, as we're all aware of. We need more veterinarians, but there was bigger issues as well there.
In your long-term funding, any can you give us some insights on that?
Long-term funding
for this facility,
veterinary hospitals are in general very profitable in that there's like less than a 1% closure rate. So if you start a vet hospital, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have a hospital as long as you don't run it into the ground. And so with veterinary staff and doctors, this business should be profitable within months of opening.
Does it make any sense that the existing animal clinics couldn't just absorb a 24-hour operation? I mean, to add facilities and equipment to expand those sites, like Pittsford and they're all over the county, rather than build one separately that's just 24 hours. Maybe some of the facilities already do have 24-hour care, but
almost none of them do, and I think it's again, because of staff shortages.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Almost none of them currently do overnight care. Actually, I don't know any of them that do, and it's because there's no veterinarians that are able to work overnight in addition to the daytime duties. So having devoted associates that can cover those shifts.
So I guess.
Veterinary medicine has advanced far enough to the point where, what you're saying, what you're kind of comparing is going to your general practitioner for your colds and your annuals, and then also expecting them to treat you for being in a car accident. And so there is a need for that specialized hospital that can do those extensive, more critical type of procedures. I work at a day practice, and my boss would cry if I expected her to tap a chest. So it's not something that, and as the people are willing to spend more on their pets and they want them treated more, our ability to do that is growing, and so now we need the facilities to follow that and keep up with that in Rochester.
Thanks for clarifying, Rick.
Good question.
Could you address staffing? How many of you will be part of the hospital? How will you cover the 24-hour?
So we have almost 4 full-time equivalent doctors, which will get us the overnight, so basically weeknight, overnights, and weekend 24 hours from Friday 7 p.m. to Monday 7 p.m. That we can cover it, we're starting to hire the support staff. We just hired our practice manager, who will be doing interviews next week for technicians and assistants and receptionists.
Excellent, thank you.
So the question that I have for you, if you guys aren't here, standing in the gap, making this effort work, what happens to critical care or emergency care in Rochester?
I think what's happening right now.
Nothing.
Nothing. So
We're sending our patients to Buffalo, Syracuse, or Cornell, but they're filling up their emergency clinics as well. So sometimes we're sending them out of the state and sometimes out of the country, and sometimes those hours that they're traveling really makes a difference.
So it's a quality of life issue for our pet owners here in the Rochester region.
Absolutely.
I have a dachshund that's ready to be adopted.
Well, I'm speaking from, as a.
I'll show you pictures after.
No, if he's anything like you, no thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna take that as a
As a past pet owner whose dog was hit by a car, and being able to take him to emergency hospital and having the care that was provided to him, I understand the need. And that was, 17, 18 years ago. But it's still fresh in my mind, and as a pet owner, I understand that there's a need, and I think it's a quality of life issue for pet owners who love their pets. Right, Rachel?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna have that dachshund by the end of the day.
I'm awful.
And to that point, Norm, COMIDA's mission delineates that our goals are to protect and promote the health and quality of life for Monroe County residents. So under that, with that ethos in mind was how we deemed this request appropriate. And again, it is for equipment purchases. And I think it's great that there is this relationship too with the Cornell College of Veterinary Sciences. Isn't it the best vet school in the country? Yeah.
The world.
Right, the world, right. So an added benefit, and helps us to train and recruit more veterinarians and vet techs.
Part of what happened with the old facility is they shut down the program where they were bringing in interns to rotate through Rochester. And the last few years that it was operational, they didn't hire a single emergency doctor. And I think that sort of pipeline of bringing students up from Cornell and getting them into Rochester. I mean, that's how I ended up in Rochester. So, I think bringing that relationship back and, helping to educate new veterinarians will also help bring new talent to the area.
And are there other sources of potential funding that other folks you're talking to besides us?
We have done a large campaign with the community, and I think currently, we're at 60,000, just from donations, from the community, with over, I don't know, several hundred people already donating.
Well, I really don't think the community is aware of your needs or what can happen if you don't have this service available to them. And I think you have an opportunity just really to go out and do some marketing and possibly gathering or garnering more support.
We've been a bit cautious. We want to do more. We've been a bit cautious because with the timeline that we've cranked this through at, to be completely honest, we have our, we're through New York State, we're a nonprofit, but we're still waiting for the IRS to qualify us as a charity donation organization, and it should be through this. Hopefully we get it for Christmas. But so we're waiting for that. So we're trying to be a bit cautious to people as well, because we don't want, and we say everywhere that, you know, until we get that, your donation is not tax deductible, but we don't want to present ourselves as something that we're not completely at right now either.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Should we go ahead and ask for the motion? I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the execution and delivery of a contract with Rochester Emergency Veterinary Services, Inc. for equipment purchases needed to open a new hospital in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for 1 year.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Rhett, seconded by Joe. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Unanimous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You have that? What type of dogs you have?
Ones that are adoptable. I can get you in a stocking, no problem. One day.
Maybe you should make them take the dachshund with
Oh,
them.
shots are done.
How many?
Just one?
How many do I
Do
have?
you have just one?
On Christmas Day, I will have 9 dogs at the house.
9 dogs at the
Stop
house.
you in a Santa suit with like a bag that's
Yeah,
Careful.
Are they gonna lock you
No,
out?
you have to do.
Stop.
I just
I'm
can't.
tempted.
I can't do it again. They just.
Today's 6 days before Christmas, 5 days.
No,
with the
I can't
golden-
do it. I can't do it.
I wear a
It's
Santa
just-
suit from now until
Oh,
Christmas.
I can't do it.
I'm available anytime.
They tug on your heartstring too much.
Well, you'll like this, it's only this big.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, you have an update for us on our travel.
Thank you, yes. COMIDA's bylaws call upon staff to present a travel report to the board. And in fact, the bylaws, I think, call for twice a year, and we haven't done one yet this year, so I apologize for that oversight. But thanks to Allison's fastidiousness as our operating officer, our manager of operations, she pointed out that we needed to do this before the end of the year. And so we're going to make it an important housekeeping item looking ahead to 2024 to do this twice. Travel, as you know, was put on hiatus during COVID, and there was a slow thaw, I think, in 2021 and through 2022. But this year it's picked up at a strong clip. I'm sure all of you in your professional lives have been traveling a little bit more. So you can see here that staff have participated in a number of different conferences and professional development opportunities, including the New York State Economic Development Council's Spring Economic Development Conference, the University of Oklahoma's Economic Development Institute, the New York State Economic Development Council's annual Economic Development Conference in May, which takes place annually in Cooperstown, NIATEP's Workforce Conference, the New York State Innovation Summit, and again, further professional development in through the University of Oklahoma Economic Development Institute and the Spring Training Conference administered by New York State EDC. And we are asking going forward into the new year that staff delineates value propositions associated with the training and events that are attended, leads that are generated, relationships that are being cultivated at these various conferences and training opportunities. I know in particular, Raquel Michael Castillo is working on some ideas related to business retention and expansion, with some inspiration gleaned from her trip to Austin, Texas in November. So looking at best practices and initiatives that are led by other peer organizations elsewhere in the country, elsewhere in the state. And with that, I would love to open it up for questions and comments. Thank you.
So for Raquel, is she working on getting up to speed with staff? Is that why she's going to some of these, or is it for further education for her?
Yes, so the University of Oklahoma has a partnership with the with the International Economic Development Council, IEDC, to administer economic development training, which upon successful completion, which Raquel is going for I think she just completed all of her coursework. She can now sit for an exam and be a certified economic developer. So that's her goal, and that's an certification that's recognized in the industry as, kind of the gold standard.
Is she an employee?
Yes, Raquel is our senior economic development specialist.
For the county?
For Monroe County. She's, when Lydia retired, Raquel,
I see. Sure.
went into Lydia's position.
So did Lydia have that certification?
Lydia had gone through all of the coursework.
Okay.
And had not sat for the exam.
Okay. And she'll be the only certified person on staff?
Potentially, yes.
Is she on our payroll?
She's on Monroe County's payroll, as am I. Yeah, and I've sat through I've completed all of that training as well. What you've noticed with this, they call it the CFD, a lot of individuals in states with which New York competes for economic development projects, their economic development professionals have that certification. You don't see it all that frequently up in the Northeast or in New York State. Mm-hmm. So it helps glean new ideas, inspiration, and get that competitive edge. So it's good education.
It's good networking also.
Good networking, yeah. To find out what not our friends, but our competitors in Texas and Ohio and Indiana, and what they're up to.
So is it a big deal if you don't sit for the exam and you go through the education? Is it still?
No, it's still a network that you're part of, and it's an education that you have, and the exam is very, very hard. I think there's only a 20% passage rate, so it's really hard.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very competitive. So, but I've been supportive of professional development, not just for Raquel, but for all staff. I know Allison is going to be sitting through some Cornell coursework coming up soon. And I think it's important for the organization to invest in our economic development team so that we have the tools and resources we need to be competitive and run a.
Will Allison be teaching the course?
No. She should.
No, right?
Stuff I don't know that I probably should know.
Right, accounting, because Allison oversees our budget process and helps with those types of skills. So we do have a budget line that this board approves related to travel, professional development. So moving forward into 2024, we'll be cross-referencing the travel report with that budget line and just flagging for the board how much we've drawn down on our travel and professional development budget and how that travel and professional development has borne fruit for the organization in terms of new ideas, new relationships, and learning.
Okay, good, thank you. So no action on that, that's just an information item. Any questions?
I think it's important that you continue to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the budget right now, like we're under 15,000. We look to increase or
We certainly could. How much, we budget for
Our
about,
training and staff development budget is actually $30,000 a
Okay,
year,
good.
so we
That's
kept
good.
it at the
We're
same,
well
but
under, yeah.
we're well
Yeah, that's
under
good,
this
no.
year. Yeah.
Great.
and again, because of COVID, a lot of training opportunities were hybridized, which brings the costs down quite a bit, so,
Eliminates the networking.
yes.
That's important.
Okay.
Meeting schedule.
Yes, our meeting schedule for 2024 is on page 163 of your packet. You'll see that, once again, we're meeting on the third Tuesday of the month at noon here at the beautiful Business Center and City Place, which now has window treatments, as
Thank
you'll
you,
notice.
Allison.
Thank you to Allison. So in the hot summer
Thank you,
months,
Allison.
it's very singing.
I had fun spending your money.
Right. And we are also in the process of scheduling some upcoming committee meetings as well, so those will be posted when dates and times are determined.
It's just great to have our own facility for these meetings. We were
Right.
going all over the county at one point.
I know, one time I ended up at the wrong place.
Yeah, it was easy to
I don't know
do
how I
because
did that,
it
but I was,
different place
yeah.
every meeting, but, it just is helpful for the staff too, not to haul a bunch of equipment.
I enjoy the tacos with Lydia, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
That was
we did
right.
enjoy the tacos in Hilton, yeah.
Taco?
Yeah, we went to
Reunion.
Jose Joe's.
Jose Joe's
Jose Joe Decatur.
out in Hilton.
And how much tequila did you?
None, unfortunately none.
We did not have tequila.
That was before the meeting.
Okay.
Rules have changed.
All right.
And if you
Thank you.
take a puppy, he'll make sure it's included.
Okay, let's see, dashboard? Our dashboard, yes. So, under fees, we did not close yet on Andrews Terrace, so that will
Thursday.
perhaps be reflected, so that would be reflected in our
See in
January dashboard, and of course Greg will be monitoring that. But it's been as you can see up top under incentive summary, 30 sales tax exemption projects, which is identical to last year's year end. 13 mortgage recording tax exemptions compared to 17 last year. 13 pilots compared to 17 last year. So, and it's a little bit reduced, but not significantly so, I would say. And our last year jobs retained was quite a bit larger, and I think that might have been because of a couple of very large projects. And I would assume that Li-Cycle had something to do with that, but I know that Li-Cycle is a net new job contributor. So anyhow, we have had a busy year, not quite as busy, I think, as last year, but Fairlife was a very significant project and will continue to be a significant workload for staff. And again, because of that Andrews Terrace fee, you'll see that reflected in the fee box next month. And as Greg pointed out earlier, we continue to be in communication with the County Executive's Office about workforce development programs so that our workforce development fund can be best utilized. And we're monitoring the existing programs that we've supported since it was established in 2022.
Okay, any questions?
Just a comment, I think at the end of last year, there was a concern because of inflation that the numbers would be down this year, and it's been a good year.
Right, we keep hearing about the soft landing, and I don't know if that's a dirty word or if that's, I remember, Joe, this time last year, you were like, the recession, it's coming, it's happening.
I still think you're in for some rough water.
Yeah, me too.
We'll keep monitoring it.
But
Okay,
the good thing is that, you keep hearing people wanting to come to Rochester. People want to come to this region because of what we have.
That's encouraging.
That's very encouraging. Toyota, I mean, that's powerful.
Norm, that is, and when, the thing that you can't, other communities can't recreate is a talent pool.
And then one of the messages that we had 10 years ago is that we couldn't keep our talent here. These types of businesses will help keep our talent here in Rochester, hopefully.
Okay, We do have some items to discuss in the executive session, so I'll ask for a motion to enter into executive session under section 105H and F to discuss the proposed sale of real property and personal matters. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Jay, seconded by Lisa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion
this?
Sue came out of executive session? Okay.
Okay, let's see, so
I was wondering what that noise was.
what?
Just make that up.
Oh, it's just Amy, she's just bringing in lunch.
Okay. So we need a couple of motions here. One to refund part of the security deposit on the Brew Road purchase offer in an amount not to exceed $6,725.
So moved.
Been moved by Brett.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Any comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Also, we need a motion to return part of the IDA fee on the Gascon Family Vineyards LLC transaction in an amount not to exceed $1,851.13. And moved by Lisa, seconded by Rhett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And a motion to accept the staff performance reviews and confirm compensation steps as discussed.
So moved.
Been moved by Rhett, seconded by Jay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, looks like we're ready for Jay's report.
Thank you, Ann.
Committee report, governance committee report.
The governance committee met at 11 a.m. today, and we've reviewed annual contracts and are recommending a renewal for the auditing, accounting, local labor exemption, and legal services. Robin, real estate?
Yeah,
Did
I
that-
messed that up. I just now realized.
It's okay.
It didn't get on the governance committee agenda.
Okay.
So it would be to renew Alex's engagement. It's just to extend it, not even renew it, just extend it another year.
Okay.
It's for
Can I
the
make
same
that-
terms, yeah.
Even though the governance committee didn't do it, are we out of?
If the board is willing to review that one without governance, we can do it, or we can table it until next month.
Given that the governance committee in our oversight missed the real estate, I will put forward, I will also recommend that we renew the real estate engagement. So, can we do all these all at once?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
do these all in one motion.
We'll reword it.
Thank you, Joe. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Norm. All in favor?
Aye.
This is, I'm sorry, I was encroaching on your turf here.
I know.
I'm sorry.
The governance report. but
I'm
it's
sorry.
If you
No,
want to
I-
encroach,
board.
motion to, if you want to
We don't
encroach,
need
motion
the
to
board.
adjourn.
Getting a little too big for my britches here.
We've all been
Sorry,
here a
Madam
long
Chair.
time.
Yeah.
So are we saying that we can't combine all of these contracts? Or are those separate motions?
I think the committee made separate recommendations. I think it's okay to do
Consent.
one
Yeah.
super motion on
Yeah.
all of these.
Based on,
Okay, so we're ready to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll ask for a motion to approve an engagement with Mengel, Metzger, and Barr for our auditor contract. And a motion, continuing the motion to include the Bonadillo Group to provide accounting and chief financial services for fiscal year 2024 as our accounting and chief financial officer. Our local labor monitoring contract with Loki Bro Consulting to provide local labor monitoring services for fiscal year 2024 with the terms from the request for proposal. Also, the local labor exemption processing contract, a motion to approve a contract with the Bonadillo Group to process local labor exemptions for fiscal year 2024 with the terms from the request for proposal. Our legal services contract, a motion to approve a contract with Harris Beach PLLC to provide legal services for fiscal year 2024 with terms from the request for proposal, and a motion to extend the listing agreement with Pyramid Brokerage Company through December 31, 2024 as our real estate broker contract.
I'll motion it.
Been moved by Joe, seconded by Rhett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, I also have the pleasure of the compliance report. How much are we doing in Monday? A lot.
End of year,
Turns out.
the end of the year, we're getting it all out of the way.
That's right. The compliance committee met on December 18th. We reviewed those projects that were in job compliance, those that were asking for waivers. We asked for actually additional information from the prior meeting on some of the projects that they were asking for waivers, and we received all that additional information and reviewed it at our meeting on the 18th. And the result of the meeting is that the committee recommended that we grant a waiver to 3 of our projects, 2602-11, 030A, 2602-14, 036A, and 2602-18, 062M. Do we need to delineate what those are, Rachel, in the motion?
The names of the project?
Yeah.
No, by project code is fine.
Right.
Yes.
Any questions on that?
So a quick question, is the waiver renewed annually, or is this?
This waiver is for the 2022.
Okay.
We'll get surveys back in February, and we'll be back in front of the committee for 2023
So
review.
these particular 3 will be.
Just 2022, and then.
We'll review it again in 20.
If they don't have their
If they don't
jobs.
have the jobs.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion.
Sorry.
Been moved by Rhett, seconded by Troy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Chair Bird does not have any other, I like Chair Bird.
I like Chair Bird too.
So I don't have any additional discussion items, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Moved by Joe, seconded by Troy.